Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So guys, in this tutorial we're going to look at this video number 6 in our introduction to programming with Python series. So we're going to go ahead and look at types, strings, and how you can work with different string methods. So we have talked about a bit about strings when we're talking about variables, and you also look at string throughout the until this point, from when we started until this point. We have been looking at strings, okay, but now we're going to be looking at strings in a much more detailed perspective. So we're going to look at strings, the different methods you're going to use the strings, how you can add two strings together, and all that fancy stuff. So let's jump into it. So this course is going to cover everything from string concatenation, string indexing, the numbers, the way different ways to write strings in Python, how to add strings together. We call it string concatenation. I'll look at how to do multi-line statements, how to select different values from a string, like different characters from a string, how to select different sections of a string, and all of that. Okay, we look at the different string methods that Python provides us and work with strings, like how to strip strings and how to do all of that. So we'll cover all of this in this tutorial. Okay, so let's jump into it. Okay, so once I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and create another file, and I'm going to call it going to go ahead and simply call it part_06.py. Okay, so part6.py, and in part6.py, just we're going to go ahead and actually write our code. Okay, so what I want to do in this case is simply go ahead and show you how to define string. Okay, so I'm going to start from complete scratch. I'm going to say my just create any variable name, so my string or my str, and you can say it's going to be of type str. So these are the type hints, and you can go ahead and specify the value. So you can say hello world right here. So that's why we have created a string, and you can go ahead and print it out. So say print, and you can print out my string just like that. So once we have that, I can just go ahead and save that code, go back into my terminal, and just simply say Python 3. For Windows users, it's going to be simply Py. Okay, but for Mac users and Linux users, you have to say Python 3, and then finally part. It is going to be part 6, right? So we run the code. Oh, okay, I got that wrong. So I didn't pass the extension. So part6.py, and then run that. You can see we get back hello world. So great. Okay, so now that's one way you can define strings in Python. And then we can create strings in Python just by saying, let's say my underscore string, and it's going to be of type str, the data type, and then finally you're going to use single quotes. So you can use double quotes or single quotes to create strings in Python. So you can say hello, hello world, just like this, hello world. This, let's say this, or let's say just say hello world, and I can just go ahead and delete this part right here. I can just comment it out. So to comment out the code, just simply select the code, just simply highlight the code, and just press Control and backslash on your keyboard, a forward slash on your keyboard, or the key with the exclamation mark. So the key with the question mark on it, and that's going to go ahead and comment out your code. Okay, so I just have this string right here, and when I told you, whenever code is commented out, it's not going to be executed by the Python interpreter, right? So that's basically it. We can create strings using double quotes or single quotes. So if I go back and run the code again, we should just get back hello world. Great. So let's say two ways you can create quotes. You can create strings in Python by using single quotes or by using double quotes. Okay. So so why do we have to use double quotes or single quotes? Why all this complication? Why can't we just choose one and go with that one? Okay. There is a reason why we use the double quotes or single quotes in Python. So let me just go back and say my string. Okay. Let me just also comment out this line for now. Also, I'm going to say my string is going to be of type str. So it's going to be of type string. So it's going to be equals, let's say hello. Let me just say hello world, like we did. So hello world, we have it there, right? So good. So now let's say that hello world, I want to say hello world's people. So I want to say world's people. So I want to say world's people, I can simply go ahead and use worlds and then people. So people, okay, so once I have hello world's people, like greeting the world's people, like us, right, the humans. So once I have that, if I run that, I get hello world's people. So you can see this the I think they're called the apostrophes, whatever they're called. Yeah, so you can see that this is written in single quotes and it works. Now look what happens when I change from single quotes to double quotes. Do you notice the error? Now you get an error in our code because Python is going to start from this quote, and it's going to take everything until it meets another quote, and it's going to treat that as a single block of string. Right now, this part is getting left out because Python doesn't see any, like we have to have like another single quotes and then it's the corresponding double quotes. We don't have that, so Python gets an error. So in this case, what we can do is just simply use double quotes and simply double quote. So it's going to start a double quote. It's going to take everything, including even a single quote, until it meets another double quote, and that's when it puts that whole thing together as a string. right? So that's how, well, that's why we use the, sometimes you can choose, you can alternate between single quotes or double quotes, right? So if you use single quotes on the outside, then use double quotes on the inside. If you use double quotes on the outside, then use single quotes on the inside. Like you can see in this case, use double quotes on the outside, so we're going to use single quotes on the inside. So if I want to use let's say that apostrophe, or what, exclamation, this apostrophe, let's say we can use it with double quotes, double quotes, that would that, let's say that that was correct English, right? So we can say it this way. So hello, we start with, double quote, single quotes out on the outside, and then double quotes on the inside, and that code should still work. So if I run the code again, we get that right. So that's why you should use double quotes and single quotes in different scenarios. So whenever we want to use a single quotes in the inside, then make sure that on the outside you're using double quotes. So if you want to use double quotes on the outside, then make sure you're using single quotes on the inside, right? So that's just how, why we need to, Python uses double quotes and single quotes for different use cases. Okay. Okay, so once we have that, let's say hello world, and then we can just go ahead. Let me just delete all this. You can say hello world, and then I want to put world like quotes, like world within quotes. Okay, so I want to go ahead and simply run the code again. So it's hello world. Okay, because you're using double, a single quotes on the outside, so you're free to use double quotes on the inside. Okay. Okay, so that's, so now you know the difference between double quotes and single quotes. Okay, so in Python we can also create strings using different syntax. So you can create strings. They're called doc strings in Python. Basically we keep three quotes, and then also three closing quotes as well. So in here we can write anything we want, and it's going to treat it as a string. So you can say this. Let me just say this is a doc multi-line string. So you can say multi-line string. So they're also called multi-line multi-line strings. Okay, so these are multi-line strings, are also doc strings in Python. So they are also called doc strings or multi-line strings. So we say doc strings or multi-line strings. Okay, so doc strings or multi-line strings. So you can, in here you can have you can basically just write a letter to someone. Let's say you're writing an email to someone. You can just write it here, and it's going to appear exactly as you do it. So let's say hello. Let's say hello, Mr. John. This is, let me just say this. This is Prince. Best regards, and then prints right here. So this is like an email, right? So let me just print this out, and let's see what we get. So I'm just going to run the code, and you can see it's exactly as we typed it out. So let's go back, and let's say that I just want to let me just press tab once, and then go back and run the code. And you can see even here the tab appears. So that's multi-line strings, and everything you do instead of multi-line string is going to appear exactly as you typed it out here. So even if I move all of this to the tab, and if I go back and run the code, so run the code, you can see now everything is moved to the side. So everything that you put inside of doc strings are going to appear exactly as they are whenever you print out your code, right? So yeah, that's how doc strings in Python, and all multi-line statements in Python, and that's how you can work with it. You can either use double quotes right here, or you can also decide to use single quote. So three closing single quotes, three opening single quotes, and also three closing single quotes. Okay, just remove that. So yeah, that's basically it. And if you run the code, you should also work as usual. So good. So that's how you can work with multi-line strings in, or doc strings in Python. So good. Okay, so now that we have looked at this, let's look at string indexing. So let me just go back to this my normal double quotes, because I'm used to using double quotes. So you can choose whatever you want to work with, either single quotes or double quotes, and just go with it. So let's say hello world, and hello world, we can access different parts of a string. So in programming, we have something, we have indexing. They're called indexes, right? Indexes. I hope it's spelled like this. So basically, you ever heard of computers starting counting from zero? So computers count values from zero. So the index of this, the h value here is at index 0. This is going to be is at index 1, and then this is at index 2 as we go along like that. So let's say that I want to access only the h out of this string. So I can just say the name of the string, and then I can say square brackets, and then pass in 0, which is the index of this. And I told you a computer start counting from 0. So this will be index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, and all like that. Okay, also spaces are regarded as indexes. Okay, so if I say index 0, it's going to only return to me h, right? Because h is at index 0. So let's check that out and make sure that we get h and we get back h. So let's say that I want to get back let's say I want to get back r. So this will be index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, right? So I can go in here and just specify index 8, and that should return to us r, right? We get back r. Cool. That's how you can specify different indexes in Python and in yeah. So let's say I want to get L. L is at index 0, 1, 2. So I can pass in index 2, and that's going to return to me L, right? So that's how indexing works in Python. Okay, let's say that I want to just select the whole world hello, right? So we start out, where does hello start from? It starts from index 0, and where does it end? We go 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it ends at index 4. So we're going to go ahead and say pass this and then say 4, right? So we're going to say you're going to go from they're going to go from 0, right? You're going to go from 2 to 4. That's what we sorry, index 0, sorry, index 0 to 4. That's what they're colon. So we say square brackets, the name of the string, the variable that holds the string, square brackets, where to start, colon, where to end. That's what how we do it here. So we're starting from index 0, and you're going to go all the way to index 4. So let's go ahead and run the code, and let's see what we get. So this doesn't work, and you can see we get hell, okay, instead of hello. So let's go ahead and actually fix it. So to make sure the last index will be ignored. So if you want to get until index 4, then you have to say index 5. So I have to go ahead and say 5, because the last value is going to be ignored. Okay. So if I go back and run this again, now you can see we get back hello, right? Hello, we get back hello. So let's say that you also want to include the H and the O. So we're going to say this is going to be index 5, right? And you're going to say you're going to add 2 more. So let's say I think it should be index 7. I can go back and run the code again, and let's see. So we get back only the W down. Let's go ahead and make sure 8, because 7 is not included. So we have to say 8. Okay, so now we run that, we get back hello war, right? So good, that's it. That's how you can use string indexing in Python. One thing you have to know that is that the starting is going to start from where you specified, but the ending, you have to say the ending plus 1. If you want to add that index 5, then you have to say 6, because the last index will be ignored when passing it in this using this square notation. Okay. So good. So once we have that, let me just give you a simple example. Let's pause the video and try to just pick up the word hello from here. So let's count the indexes and just pick out the word hello. And the one thing you know that I want you to know is also spaces are considered. So yeah, so let's pause the video and just try it out. Okay. Okay, now the solution should be the following. So let's say this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to start from 6. So let's go ahead and say 6. 6. You're going to go 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we're going to go until 11, because the last index will be ignored. So I'm going to go until 11, run the code. Now you get back hello, a world, just world, right? So yeah, that's basically it. And that's how you can work with string indexes in Python, how to select a range or a part of a string, a specific string. Okay, we also have some cool tricks. Let's say that you want to start from the back. So if you just say negative and pass in negative 2, it's going to return to you the second letter from the starting from the back of the string. So this is the front, and this will be the back. So it's going to return to the second letter from the back. It's going to be, in this case, it's going to be first, second from the back, right? So it's going to be L. So if I run the code, we should just get back L. So if you want to take maybe O, the O, so you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to go 7, the 7th index from the back, right? So you can see we get back O. Yeah, so that's how we can work with indexing in Python. Okay. One cool thing you can also say that let's say that you want to take, you don't have all the time in the world. Let's say that this was a big phrase, right? You don't have all the time in the world to go and start counting indexes and start passing them in here. So you can say that I want to take from maybe just from W until the end of the string. So you can say this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can say from 6, you pass in 6, and then colon, and then you just leave, you don't pass in the end. So if you don't pass in the end value where to stop, it's going to go ahead and take all until the end of the string. So you can specify where to start from, but if you don't specify where to stop, it's going to go until the very end of that string. So it's going to return to us the whole world, the word world, right? You can see, because you're starting from H, then you start from H, but you never told it where to start, so it's where to stop rather. So it's going to take the whole string until the very end of the string. So that's how we can use in string indexing. Okay, and then we can do this. You can say, let's say we want to take from the first character from the back, and we didn't specify where to stop in terms of the front. Like it's told you to start from here and going in this direction, but we didn't tell it which part to stop. So it's going to take from D until the end, and that's going to return to us the whole hello world. Okay, but with the D excluded. So that's basically it, how you can work with indexing in Python. So I hope that makes sense for you. Now let's imagine that I removed I just said square bracket and then pass in colon. I didn't specify where to stop or where to start from, right? Where to start from. I didn't specify where to start from or where to stop. So Python is just going to go ahead and simply take the whole string. So if I clear this and then run it, it's going to take the whole hello world, because it will start from the beginning and end at the end, because we didn't tell it where to start or where to end. Okay. And yeah, that's a string, how you can do work with strings and take different values from strings in Python. So yeah, that's basically it. They're called string indexing. So that's how we look at string indexing, okay, in Python. So good. So we have learned a couple of things. So let's also move on to string concatenations in Python. So string concatenation in Python basically just adding two strings together. So let me just go ahead and type in the following. So let me just go ahead and this is gonna be called string. So string concatenation. Yeah, I hope it's spelled like that. So string concatenation. So I'm going to have my first word. So I'm going to say first underscore word, and it's going to be the first word is going to be the phone. So I'm going to say hello, and I'm going to go ahead and have the second word. So second underscore word. The second one is going to be hello, hello there, and we just so there. So the second one actually just there, not hello there, just there. And you're going to have a phrase. So phrase, and the phrase I'm going to call it phrase underscore one. This is going to be the first phrase underscore one, and the first phrase is just going to be it's going to be the following. We can just say I am. That's a phrase, right? So and you can also pass in the name, and the name also is going to be let's say Janet Doe, just like that, or John Doe or something like that. So yeah, so once I have this, let me just delete this part for now because you don't have that defined in a code. So once I have this, I have first word, second word, the third phrase, and then the name, right? So these are all of type string. So I can go ahead and specify the type hints in here. Again, you don't need the type hints if you don't want to work with type hints, but I think it's a good practice, and that's why I'm introducing them for this introduction to Python course. Okay, so I pass in the strings here, right there. So the type hints right there. So once I have these strings, once I have these strings, what I want to go ahead and do is actually write a sentence, generate a sentence from all these variables. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to say first word, right, plus, right. So I'll say hello and then space, right, and then plus. So this is gonna be plus, and then the second word, and then plus is gonna be a space, and then plus the phrase that we have. So the phrase, and then plus is gonna be a space, and then finally we add the name part. So that's basically it. So if you read this, it's gonna be the first word is just going to be hello and then space, and then there, right, the second word, and then a space, and then phrase one, hello there, I am, and then space, and then finally the name, which is Janet Doe. So if I run the code, let's see what we get. So if I go back in the terminal, run the code, we get the sentence, hello there, I am Janet Doe. And that's how string concatenation works. That's basically taking strings and then adding them together. And in Python, you can do string concatenation in three different ways. So the first way I showed you is just by using the addition operator. So you can only add strings together. So you can add a string to a number, right? We got that, we showed that in the last videos. Okay, you can add a string to a number. So once this is the first way to add it. So there's adding strings together. But the first method is by using the addition operator. So just by saying let me just say right it here. So it's gonna be the addition, or the addition, just the addition operator, addition operator, right? So just adding string together. Another way you can add string or do string concatenation is through the following, which is going to be using the string formatting method. So using the string format method. So string format method. So if you know what a method is a bit complicated if you start talking about methods. So just know that it's kind of something in programming, and we'll look at it later on. I don't want to really confuse you guys. So just know that the method is like we'll look at it later. Let me not confuse you guys. Okay, so it's just, this is the first way of doing it. So let me just move this part of the code in here, and let me just comment it out. Okay, so it becomes a comment, and let me just move this comment down here. So this is the first way of doing string concatenation by using the addition operator. So if I uncomment that, you can see this is the first way of doing it. So the second way of doing it is going to be using the string formatting method. So how do we do that in Python? So to do that, you simply have to do the following. So I'm just going to create a variable here. I'm going to call it, let me just say message. It's going to be of type string, because you're just adding strings together. If you add two or more strings together, you get back a string, right? So how do you use the formatting method? So just go ahead and pass in quotes or single quotes, if you want to choose. I'm just going to be using double quotes, and you go ahead and pass in your variables names in here. So the first one to add is the first word. So first underscore word, and then you want space. So you have to just keep space, okay, because it's already in a double quote. So you're just going to go ahead and replace these values later on. Okay, so where this is going to be replaced by the value that we pass into this place. Okay, and then finally we have another one, which is going to be the second underscore word, and then space again, and then we have the phrase underscore one, and then space, and then we have finally the name. So if I have that, I can say dot format right here, and I pass in first name. So first name is going to be equals to first name, and then I'm going to say second word, so it's going to be equals to second word, not second name, so second word. And then we have the phrase, the phrase one is going to be equals to phrase one. And then finally we have the last word, which is going to be the name. I think the name is going to be equals to the name right here. So I have that. I can just go ahead and format this. Let me just make sure I format this a bit so that it looks cleaner, so that you guys can see clearly. So I have that. I'm just going to break down this down into multiple lines. Okay, so just like that. So we have it right here, and let me just zoom out a bit so that you guys, I hope you guys can see the whole code out. Okay. Okay, so I can just yeah, I think I forgot the way to zoom out of this. Okay, so that's basically it. So we have form one, which is this name right here. It's the same name that you provided right here. So you can change this to be any name. It doesn't have to be the name of this right here. You can change to be any name. So you have to just say, let's say one underscore word. And if you have one word there, then you have to also go here and say one word, one underscore word, just like that. So whatever name you use here, is the same name that you provide in here. Okay, for me, I'm just going to go ahead and say first name and last name, first word and second word and stuff like that. Okay, because that's what I use right here. So let me also change back here to first word. So once I have that done, if I run the code again, you can just go ahead and actually print message, or print message. So print message, and then once you have that, I'm going to go into the terminal and then run the code. You can see hello there, I am Janet Doe. And that's another way you can add the strings together, is by using the string formatting method. Okay, so yeah, that's all. And you can add anything here. You can say hello and then comma, because this is still within a string, so it's going to be treated as a string. The only thing that's going to be replaced is these things within curly braces, and are going to be replaced with the value that is specified right here. Okay, so we can say hello and then comma, and then I'm Janet Doe. So you can say hello comma, hey, I am Janet Doe. Just it. So great. That's how another way you can deal with string concatenation. So let me just show you another way you can deal with string concatenation. And the third way is going to be the following. So the third way is going to be using f strings. So f strings came in, I think, Python 3.6 and above. So we are using Python 3. Around Python 3.8 and above in this tutorial. So you guys should be fine using type hints. Okay, so we can use type hints in here. So you can just say sorry, not type hints, rather f strings. So f strings right here. So I have f strings, and I can simply go ahead and specify how I want to write my message. So I can create a variable in here. Let me just create a variable and call it message. And message is going to be of type string. So if you add string, if you use string formatting, you get back a string, right? So you can just say f and then quotes, right? You can use single quotes or double quotes in any one you want, but I'm just going to be using double quotes. Okay, so we can just go ahead and pass in the values here. So you can just say, you can pass in the values here directly. So you say first name, and make sure that whatever values you pass in here are actually the actual variable names. Okay, so you can see first name, and then you can say first word rather, and then you can say like hello comma, right? You can also use the comma right here, and then we can go ahead and specify the second sorry, let me just say second. So second word, you can see the variable, and then space again, and then I'm going to go ahead and say phrase one. So it's going to be phrase one, and that's the variable names, and then finally the name, right? So the name. So those are string concatenation. So it's actually referring to the variables directly. Okay, but you can put anything you want in here. You can put even dots and anything that you want. So if you go ahead and run the code, okay, you're not printing out anything, so let's go ahead and actually print out the message that we get back. So just here and then say print, and then go ahead and pass in the message that we did, message variable. Okay, so once I have that, I can just go ahead and run the code. You can see hello, and then the dot, and then there I am Janet Doe. So these are the dots that I kept here. So if you can remove them if you want, and if I run the code, you can say hello there I am Janet Doe. So that's how f strings work in Python, and they are new to Python. I think Python 3.6 and above, and that's when f strings came in. So they are new to Python, and other courses on Python don't cover it. So that's why I think we should just make a video covering it. So yeah, that's basically it, how you can work with deal with string concatenations in Python. Okay, so once you have looked at string concatenations, let's go ahead and look at some string methods that we can use in Python. So I'm going to create a variable msg, and it's going to be of type string, right? Because it's going to be a string, and I'm going to go ahead and say hello hello world inside there. So once I have that in there, I can use a couple of string methods on this. I can simply say print, and I can print out msc dot capitalize. So capitalize, what's I'm just printing out whatever capitalize does to this. So I'm just saying print, and then I'm printing out whatever capitalize does to it, right? So what does capitalize does to a string? So if you say string dot and then capitalize, so these are called methods in Python. So these are called methods. So let me just go here and say string methods. Okay, let's get that string methods in Python. So we have string methods in Python right there. So once I have this, I can go back into my terminal, clear this, and then simply run the code again. So you can see we have back there hello world dot capitalize. What does capitalize do? Because even if I remove the word, remove the capitalize method, okay, method call, if I remove it and I go back and run it, we still get the same output, right? So okay, now let me just change this back into a lowercase h, and then just change back this into capitalize, and then make sure that you I would say capitalize, and then you have closing and open parentheses after it. That's how I call methods, and that's how we work with methods in Python. We'll look more into depth when you go into object-oriented programming. Okay, so once we have that, I just run the code again. Now you can see that we have hello world, but the h is capitalized. But if you look here, the h is without capital, right? So what capitalize does is that it changes the first letter of every string to be capitalized, and that's what capitalize does, right? Like the name suggests. So it just capitalizes the first character of every string that you pass to it. Okay, that's what it does. So you can also go ahead and look at other methods that you can have. You can also say dot lower. So you can say dot lower. So what that lower does, and let's take a look at this. Let me just go back and change this to be capital H, right? Capital H, and let's see what lower does. So what lower simply does is that it turns everything into lowercase. So you can see the H up here is capital, but but now you can see we are printing only the lowercase. So if I go ahead and change this into be let me change world to all uppercase. So hello world, and if I go ahead and run the code again, you can see it turns towards lowercase. Okay, and that's what lower does. It just changes every character of the text into of the string into a lowercase. So okay, you can also do start with. So you can also say the start with. So this is another method you can use. So this is start with, and then you start with, and you have closing and opening and closing parentheses, and you can say it starts with anything. So you can say if, you can check if this string starts with a h, right? So I check if string starts with a h, and make sure that just to mention again, Python is case sensitive. So if you pass in a small letter h here, it's not going to return to be true, because capital letter h and small letter h are treated differently in Python. So if I say starts with h, and does this start with h? Yeah, that's true, right? So it should return to us a boolean true. So if I run the code, we get back true. Now if I change this to be a small letter h, that should return to us false, because capital letter h is not the same as capital small letter h is not the same as capital letter h, right? So yeah, that's basically it. And you can also change it starts with e, and then you can change this to be e, and if you run the code, that should return to us true, right? So there's also ends with. So you say ends with, and then you can pass with this one ends with a d. So if you check, that should be true, because world ends with a d. If you change it to be a capital D, that's gonna be false, because small letter d and capital letter d are two different things in Python. Yeah, so you can also go ahead and actually say ends with world. Let's see if you have to get back if you say ends with world, and that's true, because this ends with world, right? So that's basically it, because it ends with world, right? And you can also say starts with hello, and it's also going to return to you something. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how ends with work. And you can also do count, and you have a method called count, and the string method called count. And there are a lot of these strings method in Python. I'll just cover a couple of them. If you want more, you can go ahead and read about the string methods in Python on the official documentation. But you guys are just starting out, so the ones I'm going to be covering in this tutorial should be enough for you. So let's say that we want to count L. So how does it do? So it's going to go ahead and return to us the count of L, letter L in this string, right? So how many times does L occur? So let's run the code again and see L occurs 3 times. So I'm just going to clear my terminal, run the code again, and L occurs 3 times. So you can see 1, 2, and 3. So if I add another L here, and that should return to me a count of 4, right? So 4. Yeah, that's count. And let's also look at find. So find is going to return find, and what find does is that find returns you the first index of the occurrence of that character. So L occurs that we say Python starts at counting zero base index language, right? So Python is going to search from 0, 1, 2. So it said the first time L occurs is at index 2. So it's going to return to us index 2, even though L occurs other places, but it returns to us only the first count of L. Right, so that's basically it. If you try to find the count of z doesn't exist. So if I run the code, we should get back -1. So it returns you -1 if the count doesn't the character does not exist within the string, it turns you a negative one. So that's how find works. So you can also write a hide and find the whole word. So let's say find world with the whole world, find the whole word, right? So out of a string. So if I write it, you can see word does not exist. So it just turns to us a negative value because this is not you're having another L here. So just delete the L. So let's run it again. Now you can see at index 6, and it starts at index 6, right? So it starts at index 6. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then go on the wall also. So, sorry, actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. It starts at 6, right? So 6 going onwards. Okay, so it just returns to us where it starts from, and its W starts from 6, right? So good. We also have the replace. Let's look at the replace method. So let's go as say the name of the variable holding the string, and I'm going to say replace. And let's say replace. We want to replace hello. Hello. We want to replace with hello with let's see. Let's say hello. Let's say salut, right? Salut. Salut is French, right? So I don't know if salut is spelled like this. So salut. So I'm going to say replace hello with salut, right? Salut it says hello in French. I don't know if it's spelled like that, but yeah. So you can say salut and world and hello world or whatever. Yeah. So that's how you can replace that. So you can we have replaced the whole hello world part with salut. Let's also just move the L, and we're replacing hell with salut. So the O remains and it says salut world, right? So something like that. So that's how you can use the string replace method. So yeah, that's how you can do the different string methods in Python. They also add there couple a ton of string methods. So if you just do dot, you can see we have all these string methods we can work with, and these are just a ton. We can't really go over all of them, so I'm just going picking some of them and teaching you. You can read, click here and then read about its instructions here. You can go on the offshore documentation of Python and read more about it. Okay, so let's learn about stripping of strings. So let's say strip right here, and let's say strip. What the strip does is, for example, let's say that let me just remove the part without the strip, and then I'll show you something. So let's say I have an empty space before I begin writing and an empty space after I begin writing, right? So if I just print out this on the terminal, you can see there's a space here. It starts with a space, right? So this is without a space. So let me just delete this. So you can see this is without a space, and if I run the code, you can see it starts at the baseline, but this one is a bit indented, right? So let me just keep back the space in here. So how do I make sure I can remove those spaces? So I can just say dot strip and then pass in that call this method. So what it's going to do is just simply remove any white spaces on the left or at the right of the string. So I'm just going to go ahead and write it. You can see now it has removed any white spaces. That's what strip does. So you can also remove white spaces from only one side of the string, and that's either the left side or the right side. So let's start with the left side. You're going to remove any white space from the left side, and you can see it remove the white spaces and brought the text back to the baseline. You can also remove the white space on the right side of the string, and so now it should still be indented because we didn't remove the white spaces on the right side of the string, and that's what strip does in Python. Okay. And yeah, so we can also have the string. We also have the split method in Python that you can use. So let me just go back and do this. So do this. Okay. So once I have this part right here, so one thing why you might use strip in some cases, for example, if you're taking a user form, right, and you ask the user to type in something, and the user just pressed a space, how will you know that the user actually typed in something? Because in programming, space are also considered characters, right? So in web development, we strip the user input and then check the user actually type in anything or the user didn't type in anything, right? So for example, if you strip something, you can also check the length of after stripping. So you can say my message. So for example, let's say we ask the user for their password or their username, and they only type in space in our form. We get back the form and you simply do the length is going to return to us 1, right? So you can see 1. So we think that the user typed in something, right? But the user didn't actually type in something. So we can use the strip method, the strip, to remove any white spaces, and then finally check the length of it. So if you check strip any white spaces, we can see we left with nothing, and since it's 0 means that the user didn't actually type in anything. So we just got the user. Okay, and that's what it can be used for. So the length just returns you the length of the string. So if I go in here and just say hello world, and if I run the code again, that should return to me the length of characters. So how many characters, or how many characters including of spaces that make up this string, and in this case we have 11. Okay, so you can just pause the video and count that if you want. Also make sure that you count out the space. Okay, so we also have different ways of dealing with strings. So let's say I have a couple of strings consists of a couple of fruits. So you can say apple, mango, mango, and we can have banana, so banana, and then I can also have orange. If you're speaking from French, you're a French country, it's called orange, right? So orange or orange, and then finally if we can simply go in here and pass it in my string. So if you say my sorry msg, which is just our string that you're working with, you can just clear the terminal and run the code again. You just get back this value. So we can use the strip method. You can say strip sorry, the split, not strip, the split, and you can split it basing on something. So you can see each fruit, after each fruit you're having a comma, right? So let's say that you want to split it basing on a comma. So it's going to return to us what we call a list in Python, whereby I will have apple on its own, mango on its own, banana on its own, orange on its own, grape as its own individual string. So we have just broken down the string basing on comma. So when there's a comma, it's going to put this as one string. Mistake another comma, it's going to be another string. So if I run the code again, now I should get back a list whereby each of it is in its own it's its own string. So that's basically it, how we can split those stuff in there. So those are mostly the common string method that we will use in Python. And as we go along, we'll come up with more and more string methods. Again, you can always just research anytime and read more about string methods. So yeah, that's basically all for strings in Python in this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys will learn something useful. So let me just go back the slides and let's see what we have. Assignments. We don't have any assignment from the last tutorial. So what's my assignment for you today? So create a program that takes in a user input, return the length of the user input. For example, if I ask you for my name, right, you type in, if I prompt the user for my name, maybe the user types in John Doe, right? So we can count the length, how many characters are within that string John Doe, and that's what I want you to do, and print out the number of characters that are within that. And I showed you how to check the length of a string in Python, right? So if you have any question, you can just go back and watch the video. Okay, so just using the length method, the length function, you can actually check the length of a string. And will note that spaces are not counted as user inputs, because I told you that for example, that example of taking dealing with users and user forms, right? A user can just type, for example, if you ask for my name, I'll just type in a couple of spaces, and the computer will think that, okay, I typed in something, because spaces are characters to computers, but in reality I didn't type in anything. So make sure that if I make sure that your program can catch me whenever I'm trying to lie to you by typing simply a space. So that's your assignment for today. If you have any comments, questions, let me know in the comment section below. Don't feel shy about it. We are all out here learning. So let us know in the comment section below if you have any questions or recommendations. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.